what we're going to do is we're going to kind of pivot, give you a little bit of history about Basketball Academy, and then we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to dive into what's new for 2021. So this is going to be a little bit more informal. It's more or less me and Mo kind of conversing about back in the days. We're going to try to keep it short, though. So Basketball Academy. How did we come up with this? I think we were sitting at we used to, before the pandemic came down, we used to have our weekly business meeting over lunch. And so it was just an idea that we came up with. And we really, I think it was more or less talking about kids coming to us without fundamental understandings of basketball and parents not really being satisfied because of the fact that kids were, this kid can't dribble with his left hand, but he's struggling to get on the court for his junior varsity team. And so we wanted to build a place where kids can really build those entry-level skills. Coach Mo, is that about right there?
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing as a coach for years, I think people get hung up in coming to practice. And it's just what you do. If you're playing a basketball team, you come to practice. Well, even if parents come to practice sometimes, there's a lot to critique with anything, and they feel, I think a general practice idea is that you go and learn plays, and the plays just translate to the game. Well, I think the concept we kind of thought of is like, well, that doesn't just happen sometimes, because you can learn all the plays in the world, but guess what? There's 5 other people in front of you stopping you from running that play. So how do you dribble around them? How do you pass around? How do you move the ball? How do you get back on defense? So I thought it was a big missing part. I'm a person that played college sports and a little bit beyond. And I went about it the hard way. I had a lot of natural street skill. Did not make a lot of teams. I just didn't have the basics down. Did not slow myself down. I did not, have that skill work down. I think we just thought of like, how many kids are like us, where we have, we're naturally both strong guys and we naturally play sports, but then it's like, hey, I need you to run a 5-out offense and then I need you to get back and play rimline defense. Well, what does that mean? What does that mean? Oh, you don't know it? You're in 9th grade. I don't know it. Well, you won't make the team. And so you have a kid that's very talented that comes to us and they're used to that practice mentality. Well, practice is that's great for that team, but I guess we're both pretty honest when we came up with the idea is that you may not be on that team. You'll probably play for 20 different teams in your life because you might play on an elementary team, your school team, an AAU team, a rec team, the YMCA. You might play any different things, and you have different plays you learn. You still got to know how to dribble, right? And you still got to know how to shoot and rebound, get back on defense, and set screens. There's different things you got to do, and I thought we would take care of at least introducing that to people to give them the option of how about you learn some of these basic things, and it can apply to any team that you go to.
And I think the emphasis on basics is really what we wanted to work on. And I know the other side, the thing that makes the program unique is the fact that it's not just emphasis on basketball basics, but the emphasis on the basics of movement, running form, jumping form, making sure that foot placement is in the right place, making sure that kids are, have those skills drilled into their head so that they don't have to think about what foot they're leading off with and things along those lines. So we really emphasize a lot of speed and agility focused movements in addition to the basketball stuff, and we combine it into a singular program. Now, first iteration of Basketball Academy, it ran pretty well. I think one of the things that we realized was we had tied the team aspect of it to the development aspect of it, and we were running into some very bizarre situations. And so we decided we still have teams available, but we're keeping those kind of separate from Basketball Academy. So you can be on one of our teams. You can be in Basketball Academy without exactly being on one of our teams. You can play on your own team. And all the practices are kind of a hybrid mix of our basketball practice, and you get a lot of academy stuff in there. We have multiple coaches to help facilitate that. So I think we have a pretty good mix right now. And so when you come in, and you'll see it when we go to break, because I'm going to play the video, you're going to get a glimpse of what it looks like, what Basketball Academy actually looks like. It's just a Monday night session. There were little kids there. You may or may not see them. I can't quite recall with this clip, but it's an all ages kind of event. But we really wanted to focus on the development piece and not emphasize the teams as much, because we felt like there was almost too much focus on it. And and Coach Moe, I'll put this, and I want your take on this, but I'm gonna say it. I think one of the barriers that we ran into was this emphasis on winning at all costs, even at the cost of making players better. So you could have a team that's playing multiple levels up, which we always do with our Basketball Academy kids and affiliated teams. We always try to put them a level above where they're at so that they can adjust to playing at a higher skill level. You could actually go out and have a great game where kids are getting developed and learning necessary skills and still lose, And I think we were struggling with people that were used to traditional basketball programs where it's win, 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 win. And it's not exactly about kids getting better. Did you see that, Coach Moe?
Yeah, and that's that's the adjustment. Because I mean, who doesn't like to win? If you've still success before, you want to win. I mean, we look at we even got to look at high as the NBA level. I mean, you look at anything, kids like to win, but the winning at all costs, it's a big thing. It's like, because let's be real. You may not you may have the best fifth grade team in this league right now. What if two of your players leave?
Right.
And now you have to readjust. Is your kid or the kid on the team ready to step up and be leaders? Probably not. Probably not, because you're probably expecting that we're going to have this team for the next, I don't know until you graduate, but guess what? How many of us had friends that went to different high schools? A lot. You went to different high schools.
Let's even talk about like this. So you're talking about the best fifth grader. You have a fifth grade squad that's amazing, right? Mid-season, your best player, your best fifth grader, their dog dies in the middle of the season.
Yep.
Grandma passes, a friend moves away. They're struggling in school, and they're going through those early puberty kind of changes and things, and they end up not being the same player that they were for a couple of weeks. Those kind of adjustments happen when you're dealing with children.
Yep.
And the idea that win at all costs, having this super highly competitive drive when kids are still learning the fundamentals is, on one hand, yes, it teaches the ones that are going to play competitively, teaches them competitiveness at an early age, but it also gives them some pretty bad habits in terms of winning and and accepting wins and losses. So we're not saying that we don't want to win. What we're saying is we are not going to emphasize for the developmental teams, we're not going to emphasize winning over a player getting better. We're going to assume that the loss is going to teach them a lesson too. And
I mean, you hit it right on the head. I don't know what the future holds for some kids. I think we always talk about goal setting, which we'll talk about with the academy stuff, but we talk about goal setting. You might have a kid, and I've seen it happen. I mean, Ami started with kids in preschool and kindergarten, and some of those kids don't go on to play anymore, or they play another sport, or they're involved in DECA or something, but they're successful in what they do, and we prepare for that. Like, hey, while you're with us for this moment, we're all going to learn how to dribble the right way.
Right.
We're all going to learn how to play defense, and whatever happens after 8th grade, if you're still playing, if you want to keep playing, that's not on me. You might go to a different school, but we at least gave you the basics and the foundation to at least give you a shot to be successful. Not a guarantee, because I don't know what your school's looking for. I don't know what they have on the depth chart, but you will have a shot. You will have an idea of how to put the ball in the basket. You'll have an idea how to dribble with both hands. You'll have an idea how to rebound and keep the ball high and all the other little basic stuff. And then it's from there, it's your effort, it's your heart, it's your ability and what you do to perform and prepare yourself. Did you get enough sleep and those kind of things there? But what we will do, we will give you that. We will give you a foundation to get yourself prepared.
Well, and the thing I want to say is this, to kind of explain it to our parents that are already in our system. Our AAU program is run a little bit differently because that is more intense. That's going to be a more intense focus. And I'll put it like this. So I lift weights. I've been out of it. I've had some medical stuff, so I haven't been in the gym, living in the gym like I had been. But when you're bringing on somebody that's what they call a novice lifter, especially if you're following on starting strength protocol, you're bringing on a novice lifter. You're going to simplify the program as much as possible. You're going to, keep things simple, keep the intensity a little bit lower than you normally would so that they can learn the movements and learn the mechanics and everything so that they can lift the most weight as they move up through the program. We're keeping the intensity low. As you start progressing through the program and go from a novice lifter to what's called an intermediate lifter, you crank up that intensity. The expectation gets a little bit heavier. Now you're grinding through sets. You're changing up how your reps and all that other stuff because you already have the form down. And so now the expectation is move as much weight as you possibly can through 3 sets of 5 or 5 sets of 5 or however your program did out after you reach that intermediate level. So we're basically saying with the Basketball Academy, we are getting the kids the reps so they can get the repetition so they can learn the basics. And then as they move through our system, if we have a kid that goes from academy and they look like a great prospect to be on the AAU traveling team, we're going to crank up that intensity. It's going to get more intense because, last summer we were playing teams that were nationally ranked and taking them to the wire. And that is a more intense kind of look. We're still focused on development, but it's a different kind of development we're focusing on. Now we're playing the mental game as opposed to the skill game. And so that's the difference. Basketball Academy is not AAU level. And so I'll be honest with you, a lot of the crappy behaviors that we would see AAU parents engaging in, heckling kids from the stands, screaming at the kids, yelling at the refs, cussing out coaches, trying to fight other parents and all other stuff. We definitely don't do that for the kids that are learning the game because that's counterproductive.
Right.
Coach, do you have anything to add on to that one?
Yeah, and that's it is. We want them. We're not. AAU's a different beast. In the summertime, the different beast. The practices are different. You're picking kids that are kind of dedicated to that summer, dedicated to that. There's an understanding in AAU where it's like not every game is going to be a 20-point win for you. You may turn around and get blown out by 70 because that team just might bring 10, 6'9" kids, out of blue that can absolutely play. And it happens. It happens, we can't, but then you turn around, you might knock that team off the next time you play. Age get beast. During the season, just learn how to play basketball. Learn, box out, get a rebound, hustle down the court.
Right.
Like I said, Bryan got a good point. Learning the stuff on the sidelines. Like, I'm not in the game. I should probably pay attention to my position that's out there now.
Right.
Like, when somebody subs me in, I need to give the best minutes I can get. We also start talking about the realistic part of it. The older you get, you're not guaranteed to get on the floor as much as you think you might do if you didn't do the work. You didn't do the work. So we're preparing these kids for middle school, their tryouts, high school, their tryouts, and for our high school guys, preparing them for their college and where they want to get recruited at, that there's some realistic stuff there. The one thing that the kids will, some of them like it, some of them don't. I don't super prepare is we give feedback that's realistic. And you've done it. You came into the academies, and our feedback is not. And this is good for development in our academy. Feedback's not to hurt your feelings, but sometimes the feedback is like, "Hey man, watch your body language." Body language is so crucial from a person that's been, seeing kids get recruited, that's been in AAU, who has talked to recruiters. It's one of the number one things they look at. They're like, I come to the game, they're like, why is his shoulder slumping?
Mm-hmm.
Why are they pouting? We talk about that in the academy, and a lot of parents were like, well, this isn't a regular practice. Okay, so here's the deal about that. This is going to help them. The academy is an academy, and Bryan's going to explain some stuff about it. But we understand what your original thought of a practice is. We're not calling this basketball practice. It's basketball academy. We're preparing you all around to be a better overall athlete. That means in the classroom, outside of the court or the field, in your home, in the community. There's things that you have to work on before somebody even considers putting you on a team or crew. Trust me, people talk. Bryan, if you're a high school coach and I'm sending you a kid, I'm pretty sure one of your questions will be like, how's that kid's behaviors?
Mm-hmm.
He fights all the time and, doesn't really listen well. I don't want that kid.
Right.
And, most people are like, okay, but we want to talk to those kids. Like, I just had a conversation with a coach, and within 10 seconds, he told me he doesn't want you if you have a bad attitude and you're kicking chairs and you're doing whatever. And as much as I care for the kids, we see the talent for some of these kids. Our academy there's a million things that separates our academy from just going to practice, but that's one of them. We're not just trying to push through a bunch of plays. We're like, hey, listen, we're gonna stop for a second because 3 people aren't paying attention.
Right.
Then their shoulders are slumped because they missed layups. So we need to fix that,
So I'll throw this in here, and then I got to throw it to a quick pause, quick break here. One of the things that we talked about is, and this is really specific, but it's something that Coach brought up. You're on the sidelines. By the time you're in 7th or 8th grade, we kind of expect that you're able to sit on the sidelines, be in the flow of the game, paying attention to what your position is doing on the court, and be able to figure out, okay, the person that you're defending or the person that you're on, be able to kind of assess weaknesses. This kid can't dribble to his left. We need you to be able to figure out how you're going to attack that and take advantage of that. You need to know who can and can't shoot. You got to be sitting on the sidelines watching the game and planning what the next couple of steps are so that when you get in the game, you're going to make maximum impact. And that's what matters once you go from junior high to high school. High school and AAU is separate beasts, and there's different mentalities for those. But junior high to high school, you got to have that ability to figure out, okay, how can I make the maximum impact with my minutes? I'm not getting all the minutes I want, but how do I make an impact in the time that I'm in the game? Right?
Correct. That's definitely correct.
So what we're going to do is I'm going to try to throw this to a break. We're still learning the platform, so we're going to try to throw it to a break, and then we'll be right back at you. We're going to show you a little bit of what our basketball academy, what our basketball academy on Monday nights looks like, so stay tuned.
Basically have a full month of whatever training. You have kind of a half a month for November. Especially high school guys, okay? Middle school guys too, trying out for teams as well. Who's the 6, 7, and 8 right now? You guys will be playing in a couple weeks, okay? You're gonna be playing, okay? And here's the deal. You are playing team ball. I get it. You're playing team ball. But you got to contribute to what you're going to do on the court, right? Okay? You can't be so hung up on wins and losses all the time if you're not contributing, So you can't sit there and be like, oh, we're not good. What did you do? Okay? And you got to have confidence in what you're doing. You understand? If you walk off of a court and you walk out of a game and say, I don't think I gave 100% effort, why are you playing the game? Right? There's a million other things you can be doing. Because you're wasting your teammates' time, right? Out of here. Here, ball. back to back. You're getting down when you're dribbling. You're trying to actually push each other out while controlling the ball. Okay? So, you're doing this drill. There we go. So, you're getting down, you're dribbling, so you're going here. And at the same time, you need to have no control because that person can end up popping that ball out. Okay? So I was actually put somebody right now. Okay? There are days when you're cooking, everything's fine. There are days that you're not cooking. But I'm telling you, you guys gotta play defense. You gotta get back. You gotta hustle. Okay? Contact you guys. Okay? 1, 3, hustle.
1, 2, 3, hustle.